Welcome to everybody today. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, probably good night. I don't know, depending on the place you are joining from. Please, can you indicate very briefly in the chat if you can hear me and see me clearly, and if everything works correctly for you? Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Okay. Good. So let me actually, start from a very small question. Tell me, please, how do you feel yourself when it comes to a case, when you have to crack a case? How do you feel yourself? Do you feel yourself confident? Yeah, nervous, of course. Stressed. What else? What other feelings? Excited. Okay. Unsure. Yes. We all been there. Very nervous and lost. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. You will obviously learn something today. Under confidence. We will guide you, of course. Okay. Good. Great. Then once again, yes, nervous. I welcome all of you to our Bain final round simulation today with our amazing coaches, Andre Homulenko and Gaurav Bhosle. We will spend the next 2 hours cracking the case, deeping in the insights, and also answering all of your questions. And I hope you will enjoy it very much. So let me start. Okay. From a small agenda for today. So we will first of all have so I will have a talk about format and rules. Then I will pass the word to André, who will tell us about himself, of course, and also about our company and the mission of our company. Then we will have a space for our clients to share their emotions, their feelings, their opinions, experience. And then, of course, we will come to the main part, which is the simulation of the case interview with our great candidate and our amazing coach, Gaurav. And of course, then we will have the time for your feedback. And so this part, we will answer all of your questions. But please feel free to write them in the chat box during the whole webinar. So some of them we will answer now or later, so some of them we will cover in the Q&A session. And of course, for all of you who will stay for us until the very, very end, there will be the information about our bonus materials. So stay tuned. Okay. About the time a little bit. So the webinar will last for 2 hours. The most parts of it will last for around 15 minutes, except for the, of course, the case simulation itself, which will last for 50 minutes, and feedback and Q&A session, which will last for 25 minutes. I will also ask you all to mute your mics until the very, very end. And also during the simulation itself, please turn off your cameras to make a comfortable and convenient atmosphere for our candidate. Okay? Once again, the reminder, stay with us until the very end to receive all of the bonus materials, all of the special offers, and all of the information about how you can book your first session with our coaches. Some information about myself and our client for today. So my name is Paulina. I am a client manager at Consulting Masters. And our candidate today is Paul Abi Aad. Paul, hello, good evening. How are you? Could you tell us something about yourself, please?
Hey, Paulina, how are you? It's good to see you. Actually, it's the first time I see you, but it's always good to see everyone here, especially Andre and Gaurav. I'm very excited to do this case today in front of 82 participants. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have a problem talking in front of many people, but I am nervous right now. So a little bit of about myself. I'm a chemical engineer with a master's degree in oil and gas. I'll be graduating by year 2022 from an MBA from IE Business School. And I look forward to penetrating the consulting industry. And here we are.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck to you today. I hope you will crack the case with flying colors. So then I'm ready to give a floor to André. André, could you tell us something about yourself as well and give us interesting information? All of it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Paulina. But, you know, after introduction from Paul, such a handsome gentleman, I don't even know what to say. All right, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you for one favor? So, could you please turn on your cameras? Because I really love to speak in front of the people and not simply in front of these black quadrats. I don't know. Let's make it somehow personal and less formal. So, yeah, I mean. Maybe just brief words about myself. I'm born Ukrainian. I had a privilege to get into consulting worlds already back in 2010 when I got my first internship at Roland Berger. And imagine I was like 21 years old, and my second mission was to help Russian government to prepare for Winter Sochi Olympic Games. Like a project worth 50 billion euros and probably one of the most expensive Olympic Games. All right, I will not speak about corruption in Russia this time, but this is something our friends in Eastern Europe are very much aware of. So, nevertheless, I was very much excited about having an opportunity to work in very interesting projects, in becoming a part of a great team of collaborative individuals and working in different industries with bright-minded people and constantly learn and being pushed. Then after a couple of years, I got a scholarship from the German government, and I went for studying to Germany, where I ended up in the headquarters of Roland Berger. And then after accomplishing 30 missions, I was also delegated to Dubai, to the Middle East. So you can see there's been quite changing geography in my background. But now, for me personally, as we turn back to Europe and we're currently living in Switzerland, now it's time to give something back to you, to the younger generations, and help you in these challenging times. To actually to get the job offers in with the leading consulting firms. So can you please write in the chat, like you Hamid Guliev or you Gaurav Sahar, how would you feel yourself the day that you will receive an email saying something like, "Dear Hamid, it was a great pleasure speaking to you last Thursday. We would like, my congratulations, we would like to give you an offer. Could you please share your postal address and your passport details to send you the contract for signing? Best regards, looking towards Maria from the HR team." So Hamid, how would you feel yourself? Or how you would feel yourself at that particular moment? Cloud 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, great. Cool. Yeah, and this is exactly the feeling which we want to give you as the result of our collaboration and I will also let the clients to speak for ourselves later on. So yeah, now I would therefore just keep it brief and pass also to my business partner and my great friend Gaurav Bhosle. So greetings to India from Bain. How is it going?
Good, good. It's going good. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are, guys. Great to see you all in great numbers, and I'm hoping that we will be able to add a value and kind of deliver something in the next couple of years. My quick background: I come by engineer by education. Worked in technology for a few years. I was also founding member of a couple of companies. Did my MBA from Europe and ended up joining McKinsey amongst some other offers that I had apart from McKinsey, like BCG, etc. Worked in consulting for 6 years. A very interesting journey. Just like what Andre was talking about. Worked across geographies in almost 27 countries on different projects, different sectors, functions. Very, very fulfilling journey I had. Before, kind of hanging the consulting delivery boots and getting into helping people like you to live the same dream, same kind of life that I really enjoy doing. Yeah. So here I am, post 500 plus people who have gone through us into MBBs. Trying to try and do our best to have almost all of you getting into some of these prestigious companies. And not just about company, we do believe that consulting is a very enriching career, not just from a perspective of financials, but also the kind of value add, the kind of seed it sows for your future career success. Yeah. So welcome everyone wholeheartedly. Yeah, try and get the best out of this webinar, and don't keep the value add only to webinar. Yeah, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to help you out to achieve your dream career in consulting. Yep. Okay, that's it from my side.
Very recently, we have helped 7 of our clients who have already started working with the leading consulting firms worldwide. So you remember this email, which I pictured in your mind like very recently. So this actually happened to 7 students of us in March. So last month, they started working with 4 major firms, with McKinsey, with Bain, with Roland Berger and Oliver Wyman in different regions across Europe, Middle East and Asia. But we also have a broad international scope. So we've helping the candidates starting from Canada up to New Zealand and Australia, across all the globe. And 7 our students are already working since last month and having received the salaries between 50,000 and 150,000 US dollars, depending on the position, on the industry, and on the on the location, and of course on the firm. So, and this is exactly the value which we want to deliver to every one of you, to you, Rachel, to you, Kushnar, to you, Ola, or to other more than 90 ladies and gentlemen who are currently in the chat in this webinar. And this is our ultimate commitment, that we serve our promises, and that we are here to give you the opportunity to start working in consulting. But please bear in mind that consulting is not for everyone. So it's really extremely tough. And what Gaurav haven't spoke about that before is probably that he needed to nail up 150 cases before entering into consulting. So it's really tough to get inside. It's highly competitive, but we are here to make your way into consulting easier. So please use this opportunity, put your questions here in the chat, and we are here to answer most of them and deliver the ultimate value to you in the long run. I think, yeah, and would you like to get in touch with us, then please book a first meeting with our client managers, and the links will be now spread here already in the chat. So you can already click right now and book the next slots with our client managers to get the free, the first free phone call, which will make you a step closer towards a big ambitious goal of becoming a leading consultant. All right, I think let's basically start with that. And I would like to pass the word to our clients who are already present here in the room. So Paul, a handsome gentleman. So we'll start with you.
Okay, so I would like to talk about my experience with Consulting Masters. Look, as a client telling you how he feels about a specific product, I will tell the people present right now in this webinar, one thing is that these people are not only answering by emails or in a formal way. These people are present on WhatsApp 24/7. You will get the Tony Robbins result with a Walmart price, okay? These people, and by the way, I am a salesman, so that's a normal thing, but I will tell you something. These people will give you the best results. And if you want to forge yourself to become a better consultant or even penetrate the industry, these are the people you are looking for. That's all I'm going to say, but I tell you, you would not regret it. These people are really good and know what they're doing.
All right. I probably, thank you very much, but I would need to become with the red face right now. Thank you very much for your compliments. Yeah, but maybe someone else would like to speak out and share his or her experience. So I have seen that Juan or Tony are also here in the chat. Can you maybe guys turn on your cameras and quickly introduce yourself and also share about your experience of working together with us?
I can start. Yeah, so I've been with André and Gaurav since not long ago, but I'm starting on it, so I'm preparing everything for those interviews, and so far a very good experience.
This was very brief and up to the point. Thank you, Han. The way I already know you. Yeah. Anyone else would like to add anything before we move to the next step? Sorry for this.
I just have a question. If it's
yes,
okay.
Please.
I went to the link to schedule a meeting, like a free consultation. I'm not sure which is the time zone. Is it a European time zone or?
Usually it adapts to your time zone.
Okay.
So therefore, it depends on where you
because
are located.
I'll be flying next month, so I have to keep in consideration the time difference. So I'm not sure which is the timing set by this, but like the link you provided, there's no like ET or IST, there's no time zone provided there.
Okay, I mean, I think that
Always,
our client managers will get in touch with you. So simply write it into the chat.
It's always your system time. Yeah, so wherever you are currently, that's the time it picks up.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abdurrahmi. I hope it helps. Cool. Then, yeah, there is another question from Radha Chandar. What are the digital skills needed to become a consultant? Yeah, Thank you very much for this. I would say that the only digital skills that you need at the moment would probably a great proficiency in Excel and PowerPoint, so that you can do most of the calculations and do the effective PowerPoint presentations. And then, of course, depending on what kind of consulting you want to get, if you, for example, want to get into the digital consulting or strategy consulting, this then may vary. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It's from a Giant. If we have less marks in master's and bachelor's degree, can we still get into management consulting in McKinsey & Company? Giant, can you please specify? What do you mean? Probably okay. Giant means that his grades are not that good. If that's the case, the only way to get into McKinsey would probably be through a strong referral and a recommendation to help you to overcome this assessment criteria. But yeah, we can discuss this individually later on. Okay, so if there are no other questions, okay, I already see that Prabhakaran, yeah, writes that scope of getting into consulting after 8-9 years experience in IT consulting. Sorry, Prabhakaran, what do you mean with your question? Can you speak up?
Yeah, so basically I have 8 to 9 years of experience as an IT consultant, and I want to get into the McKinsey and the Bain now, right? So I'm actually preparing for the case study and trying to utilize the experience that I have here to get into the digital consulting.
Gaurav, would you like to take this?
Yep, sure. I'll take it up. But before that, I think Christina and Radha Chandra, just can you please mute yourself? That would be great. Or moderator, please mute everyone else who is not speaking. Yeah, it disturbs others. Okay, so 8-9 years of experience, it's good. I mean, more the experience, better it is, in fact. And if you are thinking of digital career streams or career paths in the consulting, and then it's going to be even more better. Yeah, so I don't see any problem you getting into consulting. Of course, we have to see the quality of work that you have done in last years that you're talking about, because be it that grade that someone was talking about before this or what you're saying, yeah, don't forget that one of the criteria which gets the CV in is your ability to set and achieve challenging goals. So your CV should give us enough ammunition or enough conviction that you have achieved something great. Okay, so as long as your CV does that, I think the experience, in fact, is only positive. It's a good thing that you have experience. I don't see any problem you getting into any consulting company because you are like too much experience, or nothing like too much experience. Even after 20 years of consulting, sorry, 20 years of industry, you can join consulting.
Right, that helps a lot, Gaurav, because I've been hearing a lot that many of the folks around with 4 to 6 years of experience, right, they are preferred, right, because of the age and the challenges there, right?
No. See, basically, all these big consulting companies have different career tracks. So yes, if you want to join in a generalist career track, then you might have to join at an entry level. But in a specialist career track, you can join as an junior expert, senior expert, or they have their own way of getting you inside. Okay, so that's the thing. So I don't think getting into a consulting would be a problem for you.
Got it. That helps. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, cool. Then the next question comes from Siddhant. Maybe we can also jump through questions a little bit faster. So does having a CFA and value add value while applying for financial consulting in MBB companies?
I think CFA, if you have crossed level 3, I mean all the levels, then it might add some value, and it depends on which consulting company you're talking about. I don't think for MBB it will make a huge difference, but yeah, I mean for tier 2 it might make a difference. And I think to be very honest with you, it's not about CFA. We'll have to see your overall profile in order to see whether the CFA is going to add any value or not. Yeah, so don't like count too much on CFA, I would say.
Okay, all right, cool. So, and then the next question comes from Akshay Sari. Are tools like Tableau and coding languages like Python required for consulting as well?
No.
The quick answer, Akshay, is no. All right, let's so it's not required. It's more about business acumen, which you need to have in order to solve different types of problems. All right, so the next question is from Piyush Dabra. How can I do a transition from engineering company to consulting? Gaurav?
I mean, what can I say? There are probably 100 different types of transition routes available. It's very, very specific to your situation, Piyush. I think we'll probably need to talk and understand from what type of engineering, and because engineering itself is very broad. Again, consulting is also very broad. Yeah. So now I just spoke about somebody who is an IT engineer want to get into digital consulting, which is one route. Yeah. So just imagine on both the sides you have too many dots. Yeah. And you are asking me how do I go from one dot to another dot? There can be hundreds of lines that can be drawn. Okay. So happy to have one-on-one and discuss with you. Very difficult to give a very generic answer on this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then question from Pritika Gupta. What is the scope of professionals like CAs or CFAs to get into consulting?
It's I mean, CAs, especially chartered or in some other geography, CPAs as they call, you know, it's quite recognized as a qualification. So that will for surely help. And so I don't think any degree defines a scope. Okay, once you are inside the consulting company, then unless you really want to tie yourself to a particular type of project, yeah, it's a different story. But otherwise, it's a generalist profession. So a CA will do good, or MBA will do good, or engineer will not do good. There's nothing like it. Once you are inside, then you are inside. For qualification for screening the CVs, yes, CA will have a weightage for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then the next question, and ladies and gentlemen, I totally understand. So this is very good that you are asking the questions, but we would like to solve the case today together with you and simulate an interview. So that's why please also have an understanding that we would not be able to cover all the questions right now because we have still something in plan together with us. So therefore, let's just answer 3 questions from now onwards, and let's continue with the rest after the case interview simulation when we are going to have our Q&A session. Okay? All right, so the first question is coming from Harshit Gupta. So I'm doing Masters in International Business Management. What skills should I acquire? Also, I am a fresher right now, so how should I proceed?
Okay, so I think, I mean, as a fresher, it's not just about the skills. I think the skills are quite general. So the problem solving or analytical skills and good communications are very general skills. Yeah, and you are doing international business management. I'm hoping that you already have a certain level of proficiency on that. But yeah, I mean, at this point of time, you will probably get considered at a BA role. So you need to ensure that you have something significant on your CV. Either if you are coming from a preferred school, even preferred, non-preferred, doesn't matter. Your CV needs to be strong. So do something which will make you stand out on the CV. It can be very high GPA. It can be the internships that you do in the summer, in the break, parallel pro bono projects. I try and get as much meat or, or as much, kind of variety in terms of the exposure on your CV so that the CV stands out.
Okay, thank you, Gaurav. Then the next question comes from Hamid Guliev. So what are the chances of transferring to consulting from a governmental sector? Well, to answer all these types of questions, you can basically do that transition into consulting from almost every sector, because consulting serves all the big sectors, and also public sector is indeed is a huge part of the clientele for consulting firms, especially in the Middle East or in countries like Azerbaijan. And I know a lot of successful cases of transitioning from governmental sector to consulting and vice versa. Should you be interested, I can provide you more details after we can have an individual meeting. All right, and then maybe just the third question to answer is, what does it take for PGDM or MBA freshers from a Tier 2 or Tier 3 college to get into financial consulting, like mergers, acquisitions, and restructuring?
Okay, so I think this is, you'll have to work your way up. Again, consulting is a very broad term. So I hope you're asking for MBB or top tier firm. I think if you're coming from top tier 2, tier 3 college, then you'll have to work your way up. I think you'll have to join probably a smaller consulting company, or the big four consulting arm of the big fours like KPMG, PwC, etc. Spend couple of years over there and do a good performance. Yeah, be an out performer over there, and get your or make your way up to MBB. Yeah, directly from tier 2, 3 colleges, it's very difficult to generate an interview call, unless, again, as I said, you have something really substantial on your CV. Yeah, guys. So, see, I think GPA is important, and coming from preferred college is also important. But there are always exceptions. There are people who have done something really, really amazing, and their CV then outshines everything else. So, if you have something like that, then don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not that you need to come from that one elite college or something like that, but you need to have some shining star, some USP on your CV that you could be able to sell.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gaurav. And so while we were responding to 3 questions, we have received 16 another ones. So we also want, of course, we are happy to see so many questions. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, is someone of you interested in experiencing consulting interview firsthand? So, for example, do you want to know how Bain final interview round looks like, or how McKinsey first interview round looks like? Can you please write down in the chat so that we can see it? Yeah, I already see, like, yes, sure. All right, great. So yeah, and of course, we don't want to disappoint you here, because we really want to give you some insider knowledge. So, but I want to encourage you even more. So first of all, could you please turn on your cameras one more time? There is one specific moment which we need for. So today, what will happen right now is Gaurav will be playing a role of the Bain interviewer, and Paul will be playing the role of Bain candidate. And they will simulate together the interview process. Paul, don't worry, everything will be fine. It's okay. Yeah, you see how Paul is becoming a little bit nervous. So I think that Paul really needs our support. So ladies and gentlemen, can I kindly ask you to turn on your cameras and cheer Paul up? He really needs our support. So Paul, you will definitely make it. So go, 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 go. Can we give him an applause? He's doing that for you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Let's go, Paul. You can do it.
We'll do my best. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah. So now, as Paul is energized and extremely, Paul, you're not nervous. You're excited. You're
Yes,
excited
that's the word,
about
yeah.
what's going to happen.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that.
Exactly. So if Gaurav pressurize you, so if you don't know what to do, simply relax and smile and take time and answer the question. So yeah, but of course, I don't want only to Paul solve this case. I want to have a discussion in the chat with regard to how to solve those interviews. So can you write in the chat how you would answer those questions? Or can you start solving the case together with us? Because we, of course, we want to challenge Paul and also to help him to show the different types how we can solve this case and this particular interview. So now, ladies and gentlemen, please be active. Write down in the chat your thoughts about the interview. Maybe you also have some feedback, or you have some learnings, you have understood anything, or maybe can you suggest some sort of structure how to solve the case, or what kind of questions you would like to ask to Gaurav at the end of the interview. So don't only relax and lay back, but please be active. Use your chance to experience full hand the final Bain interview round. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish Paul and Gaurav best of luck, and I would like to request everyone except of the interviewer and the candidate to switch off their cameras and microphones. So, Paul, I don't see your excitement. Show it to us.
Ready. Give it to me.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay. So, Paul, welcome to Bain. How are you doing?
Hi, Gaurav. It's always good to see you again.
Okay, great. How is the process for you? How is it going?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It's very vigorous, but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting, and I love it.
Okay, great. What do you love about it?
Well, you know, where you're doing the interview, of course, you'll be nervous. It's a very wanted company, and all the candidates want to enter it. But what I feel more is that you learn a lot through this competitiveness and your process and how it changes on yearly basis. This is what's so exciting about it. And I'm really glad that I'm right now in the final stage, in the final interview.
Okay. Is there anything that we should be improving on in the interview process?
Well, I'm not an HR manager to be precise, but if there's one thing, maybe. But if there's one thing, maybe we look. This is subjective. This is not like. But what I would say maybe is that maybe between the interviews, not to have too much gap or too much time. That's maybe only one thing I would want to. If there's one thing I should add.
Okay. And what will happen if there is a time, or what is happening?
You know, like sometimes you get, it's normal, you know, since you're human, like you get sometimes impatient, you get to start overthinking, will they contact me, will they not contact me, did I do well before or not? So it's just, you know, like the nerves, not more than that.
You mean to say from interview to the review or to the feedback, that time should be reduced?
Yes, Mr. God.
Okay. Okay. So you are someone who cannot handle nerves, huh?
No, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to take this idea. It's only for the interview. It's only for the interview. The work ethics is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying. Okay, good. Good. So I have your CV in front of me, Paul. It's very impressive CV. Why don't you tell me something about yourself which is not there on the CV?
Something about myself which is not there on the CV. Well, okay, so let's start with the personal thing, and maybe we can go like switch around to the professional things. I grew up between Lebanon and France, and studied in a French university in Lebanon, where I got my master's degree in chemical engineering, obviously.
That's there on the CV.
It's on the CV. And well, I would like to say that I grew up between two countries, so I was exposed to two cultures. And something that's not included on my CV, well, I would like to say that I have a big passion for sports. I play a lot of sports, whether it was football, whether it was swimming, or maybe sometimes I go for shooting ranges and guns. Wow. And yeah, and what else? I'm interested, obviously, in chemicals. I love chemistry. And what else is more I would like to say that's not mentioned on my CV? Well, it's mentioned that I'm the class president in my class right now. But if I were to add one more thing, I would say that I'm a good salesman. That's yeah, and I'm an extrovert. That's what I would add. Good. I hope I answered your question. Like, I hope I got what you're looking for.
What's your opinion on what's happening in football? The Super League is getting created. What's your opinion?
Well, Florentino Perez is a great businessman, I tell you that. And you can never argue when it comes to money with this guy. But let's take the two sides. If there's one thing that I've learned is always to take two sides of an argument. His arguments, he mentions he wants to save football. So he gets the best leagues, best teams to play with each other. Unfortunately, the money-wise, it's not guaranteed that this will save football, because there will be a big capital investment, a big loan coming from the banks. And each team that will enter the Super League, they will get pumped by 300 million euros, which will make, before the league even starts, 3 billion in loan will be taken, and it's not guaranteed that it will be returned. On the other hand, when you take the other side of the story, football is dying without the viewers, live viewers, of course. So the business plan for the Super League is that people should pay to get a subscription, so that this will be a revenue channel out of all revenue channels. I'm sure there will be an online channel where there will be retail, etc., etc. But the other side of it would say that the league should stay as is, and later on, when COVID becomes a little bit more lenient with us, football will pick up on itself. So this
I want to know your opinion. I don't want his opinion.
I'm not with the Super League. I am not with the Super League. If you want my opinion, I'm not with the Super League. I just don't approve it, because it's a big risk. It's a very big risk. Like, I know that big risk gets you great reward, but the return on investment in this case, with respect to the capital investment, is something to worry about.
Okay. So you're not a risk taker, huh?
Sorry?
You're not a risk taker.
I am a risk taker. I am a calculated risk taker, Gaurav, not a risk taker.
Okay. Can you tell me an instance where you have taken calculated risk in the recent past?
Yes, I can give you an example. So I was submitting this, I was tendering for a project for Qatar Chemical Company in QChem. And see, our value chain works the following way. We import chemicals from outside. Can
you tell me exactly what was the project first and what's the impact?
So stocking, and the tender was called stocking and supply of xylene for 5 years.
Okay.
All right. Xylene is a chemical used in the petrochemical industry to produce plastics. All right. Okay. So in Qatar, there is no xylene producer. My company was a chemical company, and I was the sales and operations manager. So I bid for this tender, but obviously to bid for the tender, you have to give a technical offer and a commercial offer. You have to give a very competitive commercial price, and a technical offer that should be very competitive when it comes to brand, because in chemicals, there are brands. Just like in clothes, you have brands in chemicals, and to supply it to Qatar for 5 years. And if the performance is not well, you will have to pay a performance bond with respect to the value of the tender. I took that risk, Gaurav. This is where you were asking, this is what I answer your question. I took that risk. And my company was really worried that they could not cover because our company was very, let's call it, humble when it comes to the value chain and providing chemicals to the.
Can you quantify the risk? How bad was it? I mean, what was the worst case scenario? Can you quantify the risk?
Yes, I can quantify the risk. So, but I will have to explain for you like not more than 30 seconds about how a tender goes. If you win the tender and you are awarded the tender, but your performance was not up to standard, not delivering the material by this date or 1 week after the purchase order, there will become penalties. Penalties will take place. Right. And this is what my company was worried about, not to be able to provide so that we don't have to pay penalties. This is in brief.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the risk out of it. So if the performance, if they decided, QChem in the contract, in the tender, if they decided not to go with us anymore, we are obliged by law to pay 15% in cash of the total value of the tender. The total value of the tender was $5 million.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I hope I answered your question, Gaurav.
Yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah, what you're saying. So tell me, why do you now want to get into consulting?
Okay, so, all right. So why consulting? It is three main things. First, the quality of the work that you do as a consultant. Second, the high exposure to senior people this early in the consulting career. And the third one would be the opportunity for an international career later on. So let's dive in. Let me explain why each one is important to me. I think that, I'm sorry, did you say anything?
No, please.
All right. So I think the main thing that draws me into consulting and specifically to BCG is the quality of the work that you do.
You are in Bain interview, by the way.
Okay, apologies. So the quality, for Bain, specifically Bain, is the quality of the work that you do. I was talking to my friend, Mr. Mark Tayrouz in Lebanon, and he was telling me about how much work goes into each analysis. He told me everything you do to ensure that the client gets a well-executed and well-presented presentation for his product. I was so impressed when he was walking me through how you did it. And I looked online for presentations on your website. And I was very impressed with the public sector paper, which was called The Changing Mindset and Driving Process. There was so much detail and quality. I swore myself that I would work here. I know I want to push my work's quality to its highest. I'll need to be somewhere that values that. So that was the first reason, Gaurav. Now, which is the quality of the work that you do. The second reason was the exposure, as mentioned before, was the exposure to senior people that early in my career. My thinking here is that if I'm going to do high quality work, I might as well do it in projects that matter. So, and I think a good proxy of how much a project matters is how much senior people look at the project. So this, along with reason number one, it creates a beautiful, I will call it loop or cocktail. If I do high quality work for senior people in projects that matter, okay, this makes me learn from them and improve my craft. I then get to better work at other high stakes projects. I really think that would make me excited to go to work. So this is my second reason. And let's talk about the third one. It's the opportunity of an international career. It's not something that I think of for the next few years, Gaurav, but I love to have the opportunity to work somewhere else 5 or 10 years from now. And I think that would be a very rich career opportunity. Consulting is perfect for this. I know it's tougher to get this in other career paths because the breadth of knowledge is not as valued. So the more I talk into people and ask them about the consulting, the more I feel I belong there. So this would be my answer.
Okay. Yeah. Paul, I think you are presenting yourself quite well. Clearly, you are a salesman. Tell me, what are your weaknesses?
Okay, so if I were to talk about my weaknesses, you know, Michelangelo, when he died, he said at 75, he said, "I'm still learning." So I think I don't like to call it weakness, but I would like to call it a point that I would like to improve. And one skill that we are all learning till the day we leave this world is time management. And time management, my time management is evolving with every moment and every year. And I know it can be stronger, and I'm constantly working on improving it. And I should be able to use it effectively within time. I think it's not linear, it's not exponential, it's a variable function. That's what I would say.
How are you working on improving it? What do you
Time
do
management
exactly?
skills?
Yeah.
Well, there is no specific framework, Gaurav, but once you get exposed to too much responsibility and too much projects, you will get to master that more and more. Maybe by doing a sheet that requires all your executives. Right now, I'm managing 5 people. And by making a sheet, a timesheet, not a timesheet as in you get in this time, or you get like a project timesheet, a lead sheet that will specify each aspect of the project, when it will be done and how it will be done. This is like, I think this is a good time management tool to learn from, but this is specifically in engineering. So I think, for example, in advertising, it's different, and marketing, it's different. And I'm sure in consulting is different. So I think the more I get responsibility and the more I'm exposed to projects, the more my time management skills that I am forced to make it even better.
Any other weakness?
Any other weakness? Well, I would like to say that I might be a little bit, maybe I would like to call it, I'm a tough, loving manager as a person. Like I don't know, like what people call it, but in Batman, they call him bad for the greater good. Batman is considered a good person, but he's bad for the greater good. And for me, when I manage, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm looking for a weakness. Yeah. I'm not.
Weakness. Well, people might say I'm a little bit of a demanding person when it comes to work ethics. Mm-hmm. Let's call it I'm demanding if we're calling it a con.
Do you agree with people?
I'm sorry?
Do you agree with those people?
I do not. Let's just say that I can't not disagree completely, but I would like to call it I'm enthusiastic of getting the work done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. So why should we try a little bit of caselet?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited, actually.
Very good. Okay. So, yeah. Let me just read out for you. Your client is United Nations. Okay. And they have hired you to help them determine the penalty for British Petroleum. Yeah, we all know the famous fiasco that British Petroleum did, yeah, in the oil spill problem in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, so imagine that you have been hired by United Nations, yeah, and they want you to help them determine what should be the penalty for BP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. That's the case.
Yeah, that's a big enough of a problem.
Yeah, it is. I agree. I agree. So thank you, Gaurav, for this case. It's kind of intriguing, like that I got a case which is not compatible to the frameworks that I worked on, but it is a brain picker, and I love it. Thank you for this case. So if you don't mind, may I ask just like maybe 1, maybe 2 probing questions for you?
Please.
So determine the penalty for British Petroleum and the oil spill in Gulf of Mexico. By penalty, do you mean the penalty imposed by the government or UN on British Petroleum, or do you mean everything included in operations for cleaning, et cetera, which is internal for British Petroleum?
It's a penalty that is imposed. So, I mean, if it is, kind of reimbursing the money that is required to clean it up, then it's part of the penalty only. Yeah. So.
All right. So, if I can rephrase your answer, it's a contingent liability from a lawsuit.
Yes, you can say.
All right. Perfect. So, All right. Thank you for this case, Gaurav. I would kindly ask you to provide a moment for me so that I can structure my thoughts and maybe we can talk about it, and we will dig in through that.
Sure, please.
Thank you. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate you waiting for me, Gaurav. So just to repeat the prompt, the famous spill for British Petroleum in the Gulf of Mexico. We were hired to deduce or to calculate the penalty for this spill. So my structure goes as follows. It comes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I will divide it into 7 buckets. Let's call them 7 questions. And within the 7 questions, maybe we can target few things later on. So I would like to start with the seriousness of the spill. Okay, so how much was spilled to the environment and how it affected the environment. And my second bucket would go as follows. Did the offender, which is British Petroleum in this case, did the offender profit? So did they do the spill out of a mistake that they were saving money? So hence the penalty will be higher in this case. And of course, my third bucket would be pinpointing the blame. Like, what would be the problem? Okay, is it unavoidable? Is it like a natural disaster that happened that caused the spill? Or is it occurring from negligence? My fourth bucket would be, is it a repeated act? Gaurav, you are muted. Sorry, yeah.
How is second and third different?
Did the offender profit and pinpointing the balance?
Yeah.
Okay, so did the offender profit? Did they spill the money because of an operation that's making them save money? On the other hand, the blame, is it unavoidable? Is it like a natural disaster? Or is it out of negligence? The operation was doing well, they were not saving money, but out of maintenance problem, they forgot about it and it caused the spill.
Yeah, I'd say we can club this with the third one, no?
Okay,
whether it was intentional or whether it's a mistake, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so thank you for pointing that. That's a good point. So I will merge the negligence with the offender with the second bucket, which is the offender profit. Good point. Thank you for pointing that out. And was it a repeated mistake? Because British Petroleum, based on my humble information, they did mistakes before. So was it a repeated mistake? If it was a repeated mistake, the fine would be higher, the penalty would be higher.
You can club this. You can club it with the second one. You don't need another branch for that.
All right, so let's club it with the second one as well. Thanks for pointing that out too. And before the last one, what did they do to minimize the damage? So the money spent on reducing the damage by British Petroleum will reduce the fee, whereas if they did not do anything, the fee will be impacted highly. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, the financial impact of the fine on British Petroleum, and of course, by extension, the shareholders.
Okay.
If I can add something, the implementing of the operation, like implementing the penalty, maybe we can use it in the end. Yeah, implementation. Yeah.
What do you want to add?
Excuse me, can you come again?
What do you want to add under implementation?
Like the operations, how would it go to implement the penalty on British Petroleum? Maybe we can go for a specific payment plan for the numbers. How long would it take to pay the full amount over 10 years? And we have to consider one thing that is very important. The penalty would be proportional to inflation. This is really very important. So that if it's paid over 15 years or 20 years, inflation does not affect there will be, let's call it a hedging of the cost. Maybe we can add that.
Okay. Okay. So where would you like to start?
Yeah. So let's start, Gaurav, with the first one. The seriousness of the spill. Do you have any data, by any chance, that provides how many barrels were spilled over how many days, for example, or how it affected the environment, or how much was the damage environmentally, or anything similar?
We don't have any data, but what exactly you want to derive out of this?
What do I want to derive out of this information?
Yeah.
Maybe we can quantify the damage, Gaurav, and we can start from there as a benchmark.
In fact, I would like you to think about this and tell me, for quantification of the damage or quantification of the impact, yeah, how would you structure it? What all different areas would you consider? Forget about numbers, but first of all, what all areas you would like to analyze?
Okay, so I would maybe start first of all with the private property that was damaged because of the spill. That's one of the parameters in the formula.
What is what do you mean by private property?
Homes, lakes, private or any companies that are next to BP that were affected badly by the spill. Water damage.
Yeah, it happened in the sea, Gulf of Mexico. So I don't think there are any houses that were damaged directly. Yeah.
Okay.
We are talking about oil getting spilled in the sea.
All right. So, okay, so let's take a step back. So your question for me is how to quantify the damages, correct?
Right.
Okay, so I would start maybe like as I mentioned to you before, like if there is any data available about other than the fish and the sea life that was hurt by that, other than the water that was well spilled forever, but there are many like health hazards that happened later on because of the spill. So
yeah, so I mean you are going in the right direction. What I'm missing is structure. Okay.
Okay.
So how do you structure this? So you are almost giving me the list. Yeah, but is there anything forming in your mind in terms of structure?
Okay, as form of structure, I would go for the price of the barrel. Okay, so let's say for structure, I would go for how many barrels were spilled. Okay, and how many barrels were spilled, how much is the barrel sold in the market, like with respect to the market cap, and otherwise cause like a specific fine on that, along with environmental hazards that were caused and the health hazards that were caused. But this is how I would go. Like
okay,
like I would go for cleaning up, for example. Okay, so let's start with this one. We start with the price of the barrel. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's start from zero. We start with the price of the barrel. Okay, the cost along with the sold price. We see how much profit BP gets from each barrel spilled in the water. Okay, we can estimate. We can hire a company. Okay, that not hire a company, a contractor or any other entity that could clean as much as they can the spill around and have a cost for that. How much will this cost? Okay, so cleaning, the cost of barrel and the damage is done for the water and the health hazards that were caused for any sea life or any people around. I think this would be a good start. Maybe there are a few parameters missing, but that would be a good start. Because if the sea life
what about the fishing industry damage?
Yeah, exactly. That was my next point. Because if the sea life is destroyed, we can talk about the fish industry and the sea market and the sea market industry. It will be affected greatly, and hence we can always assume that how much loss was taken in the market, and they have to cover that.
Okay, so which all industries? So fish industry, fishing industries. Just I give you a prompt. Yeah, but yeah, because this marine life and the water got contaminated, yeah, what all industries you think were affected?
Yes, so I would go mostly. Obviously, we mentioned that before: the fish industry, the seafood industry, or the sea market industry. I would say of course the water industry, because yeah, the water, actually, no, not the water industry, it will not be affected. Water treatment would boom, actually, but I guess other than the fish industry or the sea industry, I would say
sea industry.
Yeah, the sea industry, I would say the boats, like the boat industry, the yachts industries, the shipping
Tourism.
companies would be affected as well.
Tourism industry.
Tourism industry as well. That's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I would add a few things, like I would say, like you mentioned that in tourism, but yeah, I would say access to the beach would be pointless at this point because of the hazards of
that's why tourism industry will get affected.
Tourism as well.
Okay.
Fish, the water, and yeah. So I would add one thing. Like for example, in the country that I live in, they make potable water out of the sea. Okay, they have desalination plants. I would say that this industry will be affected greatly. Like the machines will not be able to filter due to the oil. So I would say the wastewater management or water treatment industry will be affected as well. Water treatment industry. Yeah.
Getting enough of brainstorming.
Yeah.
Let's say that we have done all the quantification. Okay,
Yeah.
and the number of damage is coming out to be $60 billion. Okay, that's the worth of damage that has happened. Yeah, because of this incidents. Yeah, how would you convert this now in the penalty program or penalty plan? Yeah, your damage quantification is done. It's 60 billion. Now what? How would you convert it now into a penalty program? Yeah.
Okay, so based on the information that you provided, Gaurav, so $60 billion is the total damage done by the spill, and the British Petroleum are supposed to pay that amount, correct? Am I mistaken?
No. British Petroleum, what they should be paying or they should be compensating for is the penalty amount. Yeah, this is the damage. Yeah?
This is the damage done.
Yeah, so so how would you convert this into penalty?
Okay, so if I were to convert this into a penalty for British Petroleum, well, I would go for, as a penalty for British Petroleum, I will take, the means will be like this. They will pay a certain fee for each barrel spilled, as well as...
No. First of all, 60 billion damage, will it be equivalent to 60 billion penalty?
No. It will not be. It will not be converted to 60 billion penalty. So, sorry.
How much would it be?
How much would it be? Well, okay.
And
so
on what basis?
Okay, so that's the thing that I wanted to ask you, actually, to tell you about the information that I provided before, like the offender profit, the pinpointing the blame, is it repeated? Were these, I think these play a major role.
Absolutely, that is what I wanted to hear. Yeah. So let's say that this research told us that this is basically a negligence issue.
Okay.
Not that they did it purposely or benefited, but it could have been prevented if they were a little bit more careful. As a result, the 60 billion damage has been converted into penalty of 72 billion. Okay. Now this 72 billion penalty, you need to now design a penalty program for them. What all ways you would devise to penalize British Petroleum? Okay.
So can I have 1 minute, if you don't mind?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, so so the process will take as follows. So since the damages are right now $72 billion, that British Petroleum are supposed now to pay, correct, Mr. Gaurav?
I mean, they need to take the pinch of 72 billion worth. Yeah. Now you tell whether they need to pay the dollars or what all you want to put in the penalty.
Okay, so if I were the United Nations, if I'm a consultant to the United Nations, I will go as follows, Mr. Gaurav. Of course, my first implementation for this plan, for this penalty plan, is part of it to be in cash. Okay, so as mentioned to you before in this interview, in this case, a fee will be paid for every barrel spilled. Okay, so this will like maybe this will cover the liquidity aspect of the penalty. All right. My second way to implement this plan is let's not call it force them, but make a contract with them to invest in sustainability programs. Okay, to keep things going, like zero liquid discharge, for example, which is a very, very like sustainable process in engineering that will make sure this never happens again. And my third thing, which is my favorite, green initiatives. So I am very sure that you heard of the Green Initiative for British Petroleum and what they did and how they invested in their employees for green initiatives and how they are planting trees for every operation they do elsewhere. So if we divide this, maybe not evenly, these $72 billion, maybe not evenly, but in like in a like, I don't know, 50, 20, 30 or whatever framework you want, the $72 billion can be covered and they can as well repair the environment, not only pay the $72 billion as lump sum in cash. As well as not to forget, there will be like, we need to consider inflation for the liquidity aspect of the penalty, as well as to cover any hospitals for people who got sick out of it. So we have not to forget about the risk that we need to consider. Health is always a priority.
Super. Okay, good. Why don't you take a minute and come back with an overall recommendation of this case?
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for waiting, Mr. Gaurav. So based on this case, I would advise the UN to speak to BP head of committee and to advise them to pay the lump sum of a specific amount per barrel for as penalty, as well as to invest in initiatives for sustainability programs, not to mention green initiatives that should take place and they are mandatory so that they can repair the damage done to the environment, as well as to any other, the fish, the sea life, anything that happened, as well as to cover, of course, for the many other industries that happened. The reason, of course, it goes without saying, it's because of the damage done. I would say the risk for doing this plan is maybe capabilities or operations, but I highly doubt it, because a company like British Petroleum with such work ethics and such manpower, I don't think operations will be such of a challenge, but we can always take it as a risk. And the next step will be right now is to hire people from NGOs so that the sustainability programs will take place. This is a good step because usually NGOs are really good with sustainability programs and green initiatives. Make a new department for green initiatives and sustainability programs, and as well to start to speak to their finance department and start cashing out the lump sum that should be paid per barrel spilled by British Petroleum. That would be the next step to take. Thank you very much for this case, and I look forward for your feedback.
Super, great. So let's end the case over there. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I would like to ask you, what kind of achievement are you still proud of, like during your past accomplishments in consulting?
Okay, imagine that I have answered this question.
Where do you see consulting after this digital transformation taking place? Do you see a consulting job is in jeopardy? What's your opinion about that?
Not really. I think the digital mess is in fact going to increase the number of consultants that are required. Yeah. So
yeah, that's good news. Always good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Gaurav.
Good. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. Over to you, Andre.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about performance of Paul, about this cute individual? Can you write it into the chat as well as turn on your cameras and cheer him up? Yeah, so can you, yeah, maybe any comments in words or in the chats, in messages? Yeah. Tough case, great performance, Paul, bravo. Just last question to Gaurav was funny, it ended up abruptly. Impressive, yeah, exceptional, inspiring, relief baggage, yeah, cool, cool. So Paul, please don't do the striptease, otherwise I need to do the same with my skirt. Yeah, so Paul, how do you feel?
Honestly, Andre, as I mentioned to you before, I only got an internship. I've never been in a real interview. I've never did a first round interview. And what I did right now is the last round. I look very forward for your feedback. And I don't know, I think I give myself a 6/10.
All right, but before we give the Paul the feedback and all the appraisal, so can we actually just give him an applause? And can I ask you to turn on your cameras? Everyone who is there, please turn on your cameras and give him an applause, because I think that, Paul, you have deserved it.
Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Paul, and just maybe to read some of the comments for you. I'm not sure whether you can see this in the chat. I think that almost like every person in the chat has already written, Paul, this was really inspiring. Hope you get back, you get the Bain job, even if it's the mock. I would root for you. Thanks for the simulation host and for the co-hosts. Then another feedback from Mayuk. Paul, really, sorry, it was the same. Great job, excellent, impressive, well done. Dedicated part of penalty could go towards internal external. Okay, this is something different. Great performance, Paul, bravo from Hamid. Tough case from Chris Jackson. Priyanshi. Think you did well, especially in structuring the blocks and overall experience. Great performance from Franklin. So yeah, Paul, I simply started counting how many appraisals you have received, but this was really impressive. My congratulations. So how do you feel after? How do you feel after being grilled so intensively by Gaurav and after just 1 month of being part of our VIP community?
Exactly. The thing is, when you train so much during a month, you make almost 2 cases a day. That's 60 cases. Oh, not to mention on weekends, 3 cases one day. Because of this community, all I have to do is text my boy, or text my friend. Hey, are you ready for a case? And she'll be like, yeah, sure. Give me an hour, and we'll go for a case. We will ask questions to you, to Gaurav. And you guys are always available on WhatsApp. And not only you support us from the technical side, you support us from the psychological side as well. You prepare us mentally. When it becomes tough, you go back a side. And I mentioned many times, I'm going to go back and turn a new page and start again. Because before I used to panic, I used to remain silent, and the interviewer would take a very bad picture of me. And I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul, as well. Yeah, Gaurav, how would you, can you maybe provide some insights into Bain assessment criteria and what would be the interviewer's feedback?
Okay, so I'll go top down. Yeah, this is the world of top down communication consulting. So sorry to disappoint Paul, but I think if this would have been a real interview, I would have rejected you. Okay, you wouldn't have made it to the offer, and majorly because of being unstructured, or the structure was not good enough. for MBB standard. A lot of positives though. I mean, I really appreciate the enthusiasm, the perseverance. I pushed you in all corners, but you came out of it, especially in the fit part, which is very well appreciated. Yeah. However, I think when you were coming out of those corners, not every time you came up with structured answers. Okay. A lot of times you tried deflecting the answers, and which also I think if I'm a real interviewer, wouldn't go well. Coming to the case, I think 7 branches. I mean, just the sentence that you had 7 branches, kind of froze me. And ultimately, it came out that 3 of them were actually non-MECE, and we had to merge them, right? So that is, I think, one major mistake. Secondly, you did not have any framework for evaluating or plotting the impact. Yeah, even a simple framework like primary and secondary and induced impact. Yeah, or like, for example, primary impact being just an impact on marine life, right? So ultimately, it's the water and marine life got affected. As a result, yeah, what all industries got affected. Yeah, and then the tertiary or induced impact can be impact on the GDP or impact on different stakeholders. Yeah, some kind of framework was needed. Yeah, which was missing. So it's always it almost became like a communication. Yeah,
like a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should have been avoided for sure. Yeah. Third question: how do you plot the, or how would you do the program for penalty? I think you covered it very well. So very nice on that. Impact to penalty. I thought you will get it like this, because the 3 branches that we merged were all about that. Yeah, you spoke about whether it's a purposeful act, yeah, with a profit motive, or it's a mistake. Yeah, but you didn't apply that. I mean, I needed like couple of probing for you to get that. Yeah, that should have been much faster. Okay, so a lot of improvement areas, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, with the enthusiasm and practice and the persona that you carry, I'm sure, I think it's just a matter of few days. Once we are back in few days in a similar interview, I think you will do wonders.
You know what really got me, Mr. Gaurav, is it's not a profitability case. It's not a merger and acquisition case. It's not the frameworks that I know of. So it's a brain picking case. It got me, like it got my, as we call it, it got my blind spot. And
Right.
yeah, like very interesting.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, cool. So, Paul, I think what you have still done pretty well was your high emotional resilience and handling this pressure really good. So maybe you can share some of the insights or some of the learnings from the program or from what you have done in that interview, which will help other participants to handle similar situations accordingly.
Of course. So what Mr. Andre and Mr. Gaurav has been teaching me for the past for a long time, because a month actually is a long time with these people because of the data that they give you. So if there's one thing that I learned from this is like talk to the interviewer as a friend. Do not talk to him, and I really mean it. This might sound cliche to many of the participants watching right now, but believe me, speak to him as your friend, as your close friend, you know, not very close. So have a conversation. Be structured in your framework, which I didn't do in this case because, you know, it wasn't within like my speciality, but you need to prepare to cases like these, which are not compatible to a framework that you know of. And anytime you feel stuck, go back to the value chain. Always go back to the value chain when you're stuck. When you're stuck at a moment, go back and tell the interviewer that I'm going to go back. This really helped me a lot. What matters the most, other than the technical skills, and I think it's more important, is your personality, your emotions, and how you express it. Never feel under pressure. Never feel you are attacked. Always feel that it's a conversation between a friend and he's just joking with you. Take it with a smile and move on. And always, always work on cases. Work on cases, on many cases. Practice as much cases as you can, and this is how you can master it. Football, in the end, you can shoot a ball and put it inside and score. But you can play like a little girl and a little boy, or you can play like Lionel Messi. So it's like a huge field. The more you practice, the better you get. That's all I can say.
All right, cool. Sounds good. So I think that we would probably take a couple of questions to answer. Also, just maybe not that few, maybe 5 questions from now onwards, so that feel free to ask your questions now into the chat. The question from Maya: what position level at MBB was this mock interview about, Gaurav?
Sorry, can you just come that again?
So what position level at MBB, or in particular at Bain, this mock interview was about?
What level? I mean, you mean to say like
business analyst, associate, project manager, etc.
Okay. So this is a entry level, consultant level interview.
Yes. Okay. So in the case, then another question from Satya: in the case like this, where data is not given, can we assume concrete numbers for some things before forming a structure, or should it better be the other way around? Like, should we first form a framework and then assume some numbers as we go deeper?
That the later. First framework, then assumptions and numbers.
Okay. Cool. Then Rutvi asks, can you please also provide the feedback on the HR section of the interview?
Yeah, you mean the fit question, right? So I think I already gave a feedback. I don't want to talk about the content, yeah, but I just got 2 feelings if I remember this fit part. One is that Paul was not top down in his communication, right? Second is he was very opinionated, so not data backed, but talking about what is his opinion. And I think third thing that I remember is when I was pushing him, he was coming out with some answers, but I don't think those answers were very convincing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Then the next question goes from Namrata Sinha. How would you answer the question whether the penalty would equal the damage? The penalty was $60 billion US, while the penalty was 72 billion. So how would you arrive at it?
Yeah, I think that she has corrected it afterward. Damage is 60 billion and penalty is 72, so which is not something unseen. So of course, penalty is going to be equal to or greater than the damage, because damage has to be taken care of, and penalty also has a element of the motive, or kind of the penalizer intention of ensuring that it sets a right example. It's like anything, like anything very similar to fraud. Yeah, so if you do a fraud for $10, of course those $10 you need to return, but you will have a penalty of probably extra few dollars so that you don't repeat that offense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cool. So then the next question is from Harshit Gupta. Yesterday I had my phone interview and that was unexpected. I didn't know I didn't do well in that, so I want to know how to handle such interviews.
first of all, if you get like unexpected interview, don't take that. Yeah, just tell them that this is not this is, I mean, basically this is very unexpected, and I'm not in a kind of a right frame of mind to have conduct the interview at this point of time. Yeah, if you take interview unexpected, unprepared, then it's, you are just pushing your own kind of you're just not doing yourself a favor. Yeah. So schedule the interview properly. I don't think any major consulting company would give you a surprise by giving you suddenly a call and start interviewing.
Okay, thank you very much, Gaurav. So the next one is from Vivek Modi. Gaurav, can you quickly walk through the solution of the case, please?
Okay, so I don't know whether it's a solution or not, but basically from a framework perspective, what I was looking for, though he partially covered it, the first part is to identification of the damage. The second branch I would be the planning the program, the penalty program. And third part, I would have added the feasibility elements to check, whether some of the elements in the penalty program are feasible to implement or not. Yeah, so that is from the perspective of the main structure. Yeah, then we would have gone down and started with quantification of the impact. And under the quantification of the impact, I would have used probably if you do a public sector cases, then you would know this standard framework of primary impact, secondary impact, and induced impact. And we would have quantified impact right from the marine damage and water damage, taking it to industry level impacts and taking it to the GDP impact, adding them up to come up with the impact assessment. Yeah, and then once impact assessment is done, the qualitative discussion of whether that should be upped or that should be increased to make a penalty out of it. And then, what all different things can be embedded in the penalty program, the cash component, making them do some social initiative, all those things.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to to communicate to you the following thing. Probably we would not be able to answer all of your questions since they are just so many of them. But now one of our client assistants will basically drop up an invite where you can click on the link and book the first free call with the member of our team. And this will hopefully, this is also where you can address your question and make sure that all of them are definitely answered. So please book a call with the members of our team, because we would now proceed with answering the questions, but we would not be able to handle all of them. So thank you very much for your understanding. And now the next question is also coming from Rut Hachandar. So do interviews vary for each level or position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does vary depending on the level of the candidature. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Then another question is from Gaurav Sakharan. Are CV and case study based questions generally asked in the same interview as they were today, or are they covered in the separate interviews?
No, in the same interview. It's part of the fit interview.
Yes, I also, Gaurav Sakharan, want to emphasize, now we have two Gauravs in the chat. So I want to emphasize that today you're having the actual Bain final interview round simulation. So this is how tough it could be in the practice. Of course, we don't want to scrutinize Paul too much, but yeah, Paul, first of all, I want to congratulate you. You did a really solid progress within just the first month of being with us. And it was already a very strong performance in terms of being emotionally resilient. And I congratulate you also to one more thing. You have actually bumped it So you have bombed it, and this has never happened. So you haven't been rejected by Bain. Isn't it amazing?
Well,
Because
it is,
now
it
you
is.
have the chances to go to actual Bain interview and get your offer.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like, let's just call it a wake-up call, but I don't like to talk about myself, but I'm really proud of myself. This improvement is insane, and honestly, I did not expect that. But you know, magic happens. You just have to invest a little bit in yourself. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, well done, Paul. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, cool. Then maybe just a couple of more questions, and then we will conclude also with the bonus material. So another question is coming from Julia. So Julia is asking, what is the best way to go about personal weaknesses? Surely you wouldn't want to give away your weak points.
No, why don't you want to give away your weak point? You can give away your weak point. Everybody has weaknesses, and in fact, one of the the answers which I really did not like from Paul were the weakness answers. Yeah, never give those answers. Yeah, the world has moved. The game has gone beyond those bullshit answers. Okay, so you need to be really be telling them your real weakness, because not identifying weakness, yeah, in itself is a weakness. Okay, so in fact, do tell us about your weakness. And only thing is, there are techniques in terms of how to communicate this answer. Yeah, so where you found this weakness, how did you identify it, how you're working on it, and how you have made progress. Yeah, those are the elements you should be covering. Yeah, but talk about real weakness. Why are you even trying to hide?
Okay, great. And then one more question from Usha. What would be Bain's way of calculating damages? Is it similar to Paul's method of sum of damages from affected industries?
Yeah, we wouldn't know that, right? Because this is something, if you are interested in this, you can Google it and you will find 180-page PDF, yeah, on how different organizations have calculated these damages, and there are so many different ways of doing it. Yeah, but don't forget, in case cracking, we need to do it at a strategic level. So if United Nations really have to hire people for this, yeah, it's not that they'll only hire one consulting company of one type of consulting company. They'll hire Bain probably to have a high-level program overview, and then they will probably hire something like Dahlberg or somebody, a development consulting company, one environmental consulting company, somebody from petrochemical background. 10 consulting companies they will hire to make a really solid, kind of a foolproof, kind of a case for the penalty. Yeah. So you don't have to take everything on your shoulder. Yeah. As Bain or as a consultant, you play your part, and yeah, you move on.
Yeah, Gaurav, among another 17 unread messages and other questions, I have found a really good one, which I think we still need to give an answer. So, like, what would be the ideal question if they ask you what would probably be the ideal answer? Why consulting or why Bain? Some tips from your side?
Okay, so I think I always believe in giving answers which are 2 to 3 points, which are distinct, which are messy as far as possible. And in why consulting, of course, you can always talk about general points like you want to have the breadth of opportunities, or you want to work with the best of the people and have the best of the impact. But I always feel one of the point that will really ace it is to tie up with your own career strategy. So where you are, where you want to go, and how consulting is a good bridge, yeah, between the two, yeah, is one point which makes the answer bulletproof. Yeah. Why Bain? Why Bain? Why McKinsey? Why BCG? They're all very specific answers. So I think it's not wise to talk about it right now. It depends on your application, your office, which office you're applying, and that answer needs to be very specific. That answer, you cannot make it very generic. You need to research on your specific application and make these answers.
All right. Thank you very much, Gaurav, for answering all these great questions. And thank you very much also, ladies and gentlemen, for writing those questions into the chat. If your question hasn't been addressed by us so far, could you then simply get in touch with our client managers to get your questions answered and have a first consulting call for free to bring you towards your goal of reaching a consulting offer a little bit closer. And as for now, ladies and gentlemen, can you actually, would you like to get any bonus materials or any gifts? Could you please write into the chat so whether you want to get any more gifts or any other useful content from our side? Oh yeah, I see. Sure. Yes. Great. Yeah. So yeah, I already feel the great energy here into the chat, and absolutely we're here to even over deliver. So Polina, I give the word to you, this handsome lady, as part of our team.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, congratulations, Paul. That was a great job.
Thank you.
Carry on, and you will crack the all of the cases, I guess. So coming to the, I guess, the second most interesting part, let's call it this way. First of all, I will ask you to fulfill the satisfaction survey. The link to it you will find in our Zoom chat. It just appeared there. It is very important for us to know your opinion on the webinar, so we can make it better and make it better every time. And then the bonus materials for all of you who stayed with us this long. First of all, you will get the presentation of the webinar. And secondly, you will get the video recording of the webinar. Both of these materials will help you to revise all of the interesting information if you didn't catch something during the webinar, and just enjoy it once again whenever you want. Also, there is a link for you to book a free consultations with our client managers. Please do it. They will help you to discuss your current situation, and of course they will help you to understand what your next steps should be. And I and all of the team invite all of you to join us next month on our webinars in May. There will be 4 of them. They will be dedicated to McKinsey and BCG first and final rounds. So please join us there as well. And the last thing, also, we are very, very welcome all of you to follow us on our social media. There you will find all of the interesting information, probably the questions to the answers which were not covered today, and also all of the information about our future events and everything which probably will be interesting for you. So I guess that will be all for today. I wish all of you a very great evening and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the webinar. So thank you very much for being part of it. And please get in touch with our client managers, fulfill the survey, and let us also know in the chat, how did you like it? Was it good for you? Was it helpful? Are there any things which you would like to know more, or if there are any queries, we're here at your service. Otherwise, we also look towards seeing you in our future webinars in May, which are happening every Wednesday from 5 to 7 o'clock. And on behalf of Consulting Masters, I would like to say a special thanks to Paul for the great job he done today as a candidate. I really didn't expect such a good performance from your side. So even though you messed it up and you wouldn't have received an offer in actual, but this was a really good improvement in your case. So Paul, my congratulations, you have my handshake.
Thank you so much.
Also great thanks to Gaurav for cheesing Paul, for showing you guys how it really is in consulting world, and also for answering so many questions of you. And I would like to say also big thanks for Paulina for moderating the entire show, and for the entire team of Consulting Masters, of our marketing department, of our customer service department, who have made this webinar happening. And I would like to say, of course, a big thank you to every one of you who have joined us in this evening. I hope this was extremely helpful for you, and I'm looking towards to see you again. Let's keep in touch. Have a great evening and take care. So stay safe. Bye-bye.